All right, happy Arrival Day, everyone. Sun Ra Arrival Day, that is. It's May 22nd, the year 2006, and we are broadcasting here from the House of Ra in Pennsylvania. I'm Richard Segan from WHOS Radio and Sun Ra's Cosmic Corner. We're broadcasting on WKCR today and this evening. It's 34 hours of Sun Ra material, and this is a wonderful experience for all of us. I'm quite thrilled to be here right now with the lead vocalist of the Sun Ra Arkestra, Art Jenkins, and welcome to Sun Radio, Art.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here on a nice sunny day.
Yeah.
It's beautiful out.
Yep. It's always sunny here, though I imagine at the Sun Ra, inside at least.
Okay.
Yeah. So Art has been the lead vocalist for the band for quite some time. Art, you first encountered Sun Ra at what time?
1960.
1960?
Actually, I met him in 59. I joined him in 60.
Huh. Was that in Chicago?
In New York.
Oh, in New York, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you become aware of Sun Ra?
Well, through Brooklyn musicians that I had been associated with, and also a cousin of mine who played drums, Scobie Stroman.
He played with Sun Ra?
Yes, introduced me to Sun Ra, but I had also met John Gilmore on a gig.
Really?
In Brooklyn, rather was in Manhattan on the Alexander Hamilton. It was an excursion boat, and it was a moonlight cruise.
Well, and who was John playing with?
The people that hired me hired him, so they put a package.
Oh, I see.
To get them, and that's how it,
and that was the first time you met?
It came about.
And you met John for the first time?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so, did he tell you about Sun Ra at that time?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that was that. Had you heard about Sun Ra before that?
Yes.
Okay.
But I had never seen him.
Uh-huh.
And they were playing at a church one Sunday. I think it was in Brooklyn Heights. And I went and I seen the band, and I was amazed. I was so amazed. I didn't believe my ears. Hardly could believe my eyes.
Yeah.
And after that, maybe 6 months later, I was taken to his house. They were on 3rd Street, down in the Village. And I went and I took a couple of demo records I had made for some other people, and Sonny played them and they listened to them. And they said, well, that's nice, but I'm looking for a different kind of singer. I said, all right.
You were kind of straight ahead at that point.
Yes. And he said, well, come back and see me again. I said, all right.
Now, what demo records are you referring to?
Oh, I think it was something that I had did for, there was a German pianist, Klaus Ogelmann, who wrote Little Tracy, I believe.
Huh.
And I had went to an audition he had for some singers to do a date, and I was one of the people chosen out of the whole group. And I don't recall the song, but anyway, it was a good demo anyway. But Sun Ra said, well, that's nice, but he said, you're a romantic singer. You like ballads? I said, yes. And that was the start of it.
Because the vocal style that you turned up with was the farthest thing away from ballads imaginable.
Yes, definitely. Something that I didn't imagine until Sun Ra turned the light on inside my head.
Uh-huh. Now, on Secrets of the Sun, you recorded with Sun Ra on that album,
Yes,
a Saturn release. Had you performed with him before that time?
never.
That was the first time.
First time.
So, had you worked this vocal style up before that, or did you come up with that on the spot?
I came up on the spot.
Ah, okay. And you've been sticking with it and developing it for all these years since.
All these years. And I discovered I'm not finished with it yet, because I've discovered that that particular vocal style has a different kind of magic. I taught a voice class once, and I was teaching this particular style, and the space that I had, it was at the Muse. It was a musical center where, for instance, I think Reggie Workman used to teach there, Roland Alexander,
Oh, yeah.
Kiani Zawadi.
Hmm.
But anyway, they gave me this spot to I think I had about 6 or 7 voices, and I'm teaching this style, and somebody said, well, no, he can't do that. You know, they said he can't do that. But when I recorded what I was doing, I heard something different altogether. What I heard was indescribable, but all the singers loved it because it was different.
It was beautiful in a new way.
And something said, well, continue on this path. And an incident happened with a friend of mine who was a vocalist in the style of Mr. B, much older. His wife gave him, his name was Lee Boone, and Lee Boone's wife gave him a birthday party, and his friends and his brothers came. Well, anyway, 2 of his brothers were there, and they both got drunk. Now, Lee drank, but for some reason he didn't drink at his party. Well, he decided to take his brothers home. Unfortunately, they were crossing a street that was known for speeding cars, and they got in an accident, and they were walking.
Mm.
His brothers got hit, he got killed. So his wife asked me would I sing at his funeral, so I said sure. And she said, well, you decide what you want to sing. I said, all right. And so something told me, you know, he was a special guy, because he was the kind of man that would help anybody, and especially if you were a younger person, he would, you know, steer you the right way. And he used to tell me, why don't you come down to the club where I'm singing, and I'll let you sit in. But I never did. But anyway, at his funeral, I took my ramps on, and I told the organist, I said, look, I'm going to sing something special, and I don't want you to play because I don't know what you should play behind what I'm doing. So I said, just lay out. So she said, all right. So as I started to sing through the ram's horn, it was so strange that all of a sudden the organist just jumped in there. It was like a magnet pulling her in. When I asked her about why she was playing, she said she didn't know, something just pulled her in. But what had happened was I was standing to the right side of the casket, and the casket was to my left, and I was at an angle where I could see the casket and see the people. And all of a sudden, as I sang, a veil appeared before me like a drape, just like that. And as I looked, I was so amazed that something said, "Well, don't stop." And as I turned around and I looked at the casket was shaking. And so I closed my eyes and I kept singing. And then I heard a rumbling noise. So I opened my eyes to see what was happening. People were running off the street into the funeral parlor. So when I opened my eyes again, then all of a sudden the veil disappeared and the casket was still. And people sat there like they were in shock from what they heard. So after the funeral was over and people came to the house to eat and to talk and whatnot, and everybody was asking me, "Well, what was that you was doing? How did you do that? Is that on the record? Can I get that?" Well, that happened right after I had recorded with Sun Ra on Secrets of the Sun. And I told him, I said, "Yeah, you could get that on the record."
Wow.
But it was very strange.
So that was the first time you performed space vocals in public?
Yes, by myself.
Yeah.
As a soloist. Now, just before we took this last trip to Europe, about 3 weeks ago, I did a gig in Brooklyn with a trumpet player named Mike Ridley. There was 3 horns, rhythm section, and myself. Jimmy Spalding was on the gig.
Oh,
too.
really? Yeah.
Yes. And I took my raps on with me. The people loved it. It was like, wait a minute, where'd this guy come from now? It was in Brooklyn. I was born and raised there, you know?
Yeah.
And but people were still surprised.
So did you do both kinds of vocals that night? Did you do regular straight vocals and your space vocals?
Yes, I did both.
Ah, nice. That's great.
Now, something happened when we were in Germany, 2 weeks ago. One of the promoters gave me a megaphone. And I said, "Well, this." Marshall said, "Yeah, sing through that." So I sang through it. It was amazing. It was amazing. So now we have a new dimension.
Oh, it's mega art.
We have a new dimension, and not only that, after hearing my voice through this megaphone, it made my mind kind of shoot out in space to see other possibilities.
Yeah.
And so now it brings me to the point that I have something entirely new in store. I have something entirely different that's going to shake up a lot of singers.
Sun Ra's smiling right now because that's what he always wanted to say to you, right? Play something different. Play
Yes,
unimaginable.
definitely.
Wow.
And I used it I used it on 4 gigs over there, and on the what made it different is that when we do the finale and the fellas walk around and play and whatnot, now I can walk around with a megaphone, sing through it, and be heard, but it gives me a different dimension because now I'm a part of the whole horn section, and I could be heard from wherever I am.
It's better than a microphone.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, Art, when you were in Europe a year or so ago, you played with some tube and throat singers. Played with the band.
Yes.
And now, what did you think about tube and throat singing? Had you encountered that before? Did you know about that?
No, I never knew about that, but I found it interesting because what I realized is that they were doing some of the things that I was doing with my voice, and it was like a marriage coming together. Two forces from opposite sides of the world meet just by chance.
Well, cosmic connection, we'll call it.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, the chance was the opportunity,
Yeah.
and the opportunity presented itself, and I could never imagine me being in Tuba on the other side of the world with people who are really connected. We are, what I found, that people on the other side of the world are no different from you or I or from anyone else.
That's it. That's one of the most important lessons.
And not only that, the music is the language that's all the same. No matter what color, what place, what space you are in, we are all connected. So now, this is one of the dimensions that I could bring to light.
Absolutely. You're right, Art. That's what people need to know today, is that we're all connected,
Yes.
instead of feeling so separate.
Yes, yes, yes. When someone on the other side of the world hurts or bleeds or suffers, we all suffer.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all suffer because it's in the cosmic mix of things.
Right.
We can't escape unless we leave this planet. And as long as we're here, we cannot escape. Whatever is for you is for you.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you put out there to say, well, I'm going to make this planet a better place, is for you. And that's your job. You know, as you travel through this space in your vehicle, you are required to do certain things while you are here. And I believe this is one of the things Sonny was stressing in his philosophy. Because his philosophy, it wasn't about religion, you know, it wasn't about preaching and following. It was about, here's what I give you. Now, what can you do with it? Or what will you do with it? How will you accept this?
Some tea or coffee or something?
Can you accept it? Accept this?
You're fine? And,
This
there's
plan.
Water in the fridge.
Because it's all a plan.
Okay.
Somebody planned it, just like somebody planted it.
Yeah.
The plan is part of the plant. Manifest through you, through me. And so what Sonny was saying was like, hey, speak through me, but let me hear your voice as you talk through me, as you sing through me, as you express yourself through me. So he gave us the opportunity that I never dreamed I would have. I've always had aspirations and hopes that maybe one day I have seen myself on on a cosmic stage when I was very young, and I couldn't understand: is this a dream or is this what is coming at some point in some time in my life? The plan was already there. All I had to do was pay attention, stick to the rule, follow what I'm supposed to follow. Because the time will come that I must lead.
Yeah, we're here for our time. And, but the energy never leaves, and that's the thing. And, spiritual energy doesn't leave.
Exactly.
And so, we feel right here in Sun Ra's home here, we can feel Sun Ra, existing very strongly here. So it's wonderful. And, just to get back to Sun Ra a little bit, did he ever give you directions on your vocal, or did he allow you to develop that on your own?
Well, he allowed me to develop it on my own. When I say he turned on the light, he said, I'm looking for a different kind of singer. And I said, what kind of singer is different? What do you mean? He said, well, I'm looking for a singer to sing the impossible. And I looked at Sonny and I said, no, wait, what is he talking about? Is this a joke or, and I'm saying, I thought about, well, what is impossible? He said, well, that's what I want. And I went over in the corner and I thought about what he said. And I hummed and I whistled and I sang some scales up and down, inside out. And every now and then I would kind of glance over his way, and I could feel his vibration. It was just like he had another eye and another ear watching me and listening. And he was saying, he just shook his head and he didn't say anything. And when I walked over to this duffel bag that he had a lot of miscellaneous instruments in, and I dumped it on the floor and out dropped this Ram's horn. And then another light came on, and I picked up this Ram's horn, and it reminded me of my childhood when I couldn't talk and I had to point. I couldn't ask for a piece of bread or a glass of water at the table. I had to point at what I wanted, and then someone at the table would pass me what I want. But someone told my mother, I believe it was, that maybe you should try this. Give him a cow's horn, a ram's horn, to drink water out of, to drink well water out of, and it would make him talk. Well, this was, I'm sure, this was one of the one of the myths that was probably passed down through generations, because I did have one of my mother's sisters was like that. She stuttered, stammered very bad. And I think she was a little older than my sister. And I remember she was very warm, kind person. And she would always tell me, well, take your time. But when you're very young and you're caught up in a situation, it's certain things that I have said as I had gathered information I said, well, that's the hand I was dealt. Everybody's dealt a hand. But can you play the hand that you're dealt? You know? You ask the best gambler in the world, he think he's the best until somebody comes along and flips the card and say, I got you. So I had to play the cards I was dealt.
We appreciate what you're playing on.
Yeah.
And regardless of who thought or who said or how much knowledge, how much education, how many degrees they had, or how much they knew about sound, about science, about being a doctor, a nurse, or whatever. Nobody had the answer. So I had to play the cards I was dealt. And it took years for me to discover there was a reason why I was dealt the hand I was dealt. And this is the reason that I'm here. Because the system said, well, nothing we can do about this one. It's untouchable and unteachable. So I was caught between a rock and a rock. Not a rock in a hard place.
When you run to the rock to hide your face.
So I say, well, what I'll do, I'll stick to what I know is good for me. Because everybody tell you, no, do it this way, do it that way, do it the other way. But they've never walked in my shoes, or they've never been able to get inside my body where my spirit was. You see, and what's so important is that your spirit is your leader. If people realize that their spirit is their leader, we'd be in a better world. Because if they follow what they are supposed to follow, they come here on this planet to do what? To leave it in better shape than what it was. If they go the other way, like so many leaders on earth, go the other way and look what we got. Now, on this last trip, we were in Spain on the last leg of the tour in Marbella, Spain, and I was in my room. So the saxophone player Charles Davis came upstairs and said, "Art, there's a man down here want to talk to you." I said, "Man," he said, "Yeah, guy came from France. He want to talk to you." I said, "Okay, I'll be down." And I went down, and I believe this man was interested in, well, he had heard the band or heard about the band, and he had an interest in what he could do to probably give the band some work. And I believe his question was, well, how did everything come about with this band? How did y'all get to this point in time? And of course, well, I mentioned Sun Ra, and I also mentioned different spiritual things that I had encountered. And then I told him about himself, and he was surprised. So he sat there and he listened. And I think he had his wife with him. And then I told her something, and she lit up like a Christmas tree. But the meeting was very, very warm.
So do you think something is going to come out of it?
Well, if you ask me, I would say yes.
All right.
I would definitely say yes.
Well, that's good. The band, really needs to be working. It's a tremendously live band. It's alive now, and the performances have been wonderful. The last several that I have seen have all been fantastic performances that Sun Ra would be proud of.
Oh yes, yeah, definitely. Well, you see, with Marshall at the helm, I don't think we can miss.
Yeah.
Because Marshall has a great deal of insight. He has a great deal of patience with the music and with how he writes the parts for everybody. And sometimes some might not get it right away. But Marshall say, well, all right, a half step down or a half step up. Okay, well, let the guitar player do this. And all right, now you come over here and you listen. He said, because I know, he said, once you hear it, you can get it. And that's been the basis of the way I have been able to conceive things, that by listening, sound has so much value that I say, why the teaching tools are failing the kids? 'Cause they are looking for change. They're not making the change.
Yeah.
Folks been looking for years, but come on, let's do it.
Yeah. So,
and the thing about it, the children want somebody not to teach them, but to demonstrate to them what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And see, this is what Sun Ra was talking about. You can say anything, but Sun Ra will show you. Not only show you, he will tell you, and then he will show you. And if you are not paying strict attention, it'll get past you.
Yeah.
And you're missing this. Sun Ra said, all right, you're not listening. Come back tomorrow. See, but when is tomorrow? Tomorrow might be next week. Tomorrow might be next year.
Ah.
So when you come back the next time, you know, I got to pay strict attention. I got to listen to everything, because I might miss something. And what I might miss could change my whole life.
Mm.
So I say, for instance, there was a lady, a singer I know in Brooklyn. Her brother was on his deathbed with cancer, a trumpet player. And she had called me, and she says, you know, my brother's in the hospital, and he often mentioned your name. She said, you should go and see him. I says, all right. So I went to see him, and something told me, well, I took some Sun Ra tapes with me. And I took some of my poetry with me also. One particular one I call The Power of 9 Minds. Now, when I took this to him, he was surprised, and he liked what I gave him. I even gave him a tape recorder. He didn't have one, so I gave him the one I had. And maybe 2 or 3 months later, he passed away. And his sister sent me a card. And in the card she said, "Thank you for seeing my brother, because what you gave him and what you said to him and the music that you gave him and the poetry that you gave him, I think kept him alive a little longer than what they said he had time on this planet." The doctors gave him a certain amount of time, but she said what you did extended his time. So, again, I say, I realize that this is a mission I'm on, you know, and it's my mission to show people, and show especially the young folks, you must create, you must write, you must find out who you are. So when you go home, and this is for you too, Richie, and this is for you also, when you go home, get your pencil and pad. And the heading of it is, who am I? Then you write who you are. And then you will see if you are who you think you are, if you are the words you choose, or if you are coming from the inside, or are you coming from the outside? That's all I have to say.
Beautiful.
Homework. All right, everyone. That was Art Jenkins, Sun Ra Arkestra, right here in the House of Ra on Sun Ra Arrival Day, 2006, May 22nd. I'm Richard Segan, and WKCR is broadcasting for the entire Sun Ra Arrival Day. So
And
welcome,
I'll be
everyone.
I'm going time just to make my train.
All right, Art is out of here.
Traveling to space. man.
Travel to spaceways.
Okay. Thank you, fellas.
We'll catch you Thursday
All
night
right.
in New Haven. The orchestra is playing Marshall Allen's birthday. So check it out, folks. Toad's Place in New Haven this Thursday night.